2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Am I petty with my boundaries after betrayal?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. I was going to ask you about something.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm having a pretty good hair day today. Like, got a lot of, body in my hair, and
you've always had the best hair in the family.
No, I would say Casey wins that. And Lindsay, actually, our two sisters, beautiful hair.
Yeah.
How's your hair doing?
I know where you're going with this.
I mean,
so for anybody who's watching live or watching this video, you can probably see that the front of my hair is even. I'm already kind of going bald up front, but it's even less full than normal. And the reason why is because Brannon actually came and we up and hung out with me over the weekend. And we were around a really big campfire. And I leaned over the campfire, not knowing how hot it was, and it singed the whole front of my face. So,
and like all of his hair in the front, like it was all like curled up. And
I'm lucky to still have eyebrows.
Could you imagine if you put your head that close to the fire and you had like that head of hair?
Oh man, well, he's putting up a picture of Bob Ross right now.
Yeah.
Bob Ross, that would have been just like a fire starter, like kindling.
Oh yeah, that would have been like the LA fire.
Thank goodness I don't have any hair up front.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're looking good though. Like always, you're looking good.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
Like total backhanded compliment there.
Yeah. Let's dive in with our guest today. So we have Marianne back on the show today. Marianne, welcome back.
Marianne was just on the show just a couple weeks ago, actually, with her partner. So she's here alone today.
Yeah. So Marianne, just tell us a little bit. I mean, you're here by yourself, which is awesome because it's interesting, Tyler, when we do therapy with people, sometimes in couple sessions, you have to kind of work around things and then with an individual, you can kind of get down to it a little faster sometimes. So, Marianne, just tell us why you wanted to come talk to us alone and ask us questions and any questions that you have.
So again, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate everything that you do. My husband and I been married almost 30 years, together for probably 33, 34 years. We had, I think over the course of our marriage, we've grown more and more disconnected, but found out kind of early in our marriage that there was used porn addiction, and he seemed to be handling it at first. But then there were just things I discovered, or at least two times I discovered that it was beyond just kind of porn use, but really kind of connecting with other women. Kind of blew up my world each time. And then just maybe about a month ago, I just found out he did disclose this one, that there was he didn't go into detail, but there was something that happened with somebody that he worked with. So that was three, and there was actually another situation that happened before we got married. So this is like 4 blow up of things. And I did move out of the house last year for a little bit. I had to move back in because the organization I work for shut down. So I'm in the process now, finally employed, I think, knock on wood, and can move back out. I just feel like I need that space to be able to think through and make decisions. But kind of where I am right now is I still feel very triggered when he wants physical affection. That's something that he has always craved, even more so than I do. We've kind of already kind of attributed it to the fact that I had 4 brothers, grew up with 4 brothers, didn't have any sisters. So we did not do a whole lot of hug and touch. It was, understood, that we loved and cared. We do more now that we're adults, but we just aren't originally overly affectionate. That's something that he's needed. And then it just feels to me every time, because I know there were times when we were being intimate or even just hugging, where he was at the same time in a full-blown emotional affair with another woman, that it just does not, it's hard for me to really lean into that and relax into that. So I struggle with that. And then especially with this new information, I feel I'm tending to, instead of trying to look at this one incident, I kind of expand it, and I'm looking at the entirety of the incidents that we've had over the course of our marriage, and kind of looking at it holistically, and like as I'm moving forward. So that's another question, like, is that fair to do? And then there's also, so the episode from I think it was last week about the one up, one down. We had a kind of a little bit discussion about that, whether or not I'm doing that. And the thing is, I really feel, I feel an earnestness to anything that's unhealthy, the thought patterns, the activity that I'm doing. I really want to root out and be rid of for a number of reasons. One, I just feel like, we haven't had a history of healthy marriages in our family. And I feel like we can kind of keep getting better if I'm learning and passing that. We have adult children that I can kind of give real healthy advice to. So I want to kind of do this right and be healthy about it as as we move forward, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, do you want to start?
So there's three kind of things that you said there. Do any of those feel more important than others right now to you, Marianne?
I think probably the physical intimacy and the making decisions, like looking, how to fairly, process and not be petty about nitpicking all these things and bringing that into my decisions.
Are you feeling like you're being petty, or are you being told that you're being petty?
I'm being told I'm being petty, like that I'm holding things against him, not being forgiving, and that it will always be held against him, that he won't, it doesn't, he's never going to be able to get out from that.
Okay, so it actually is what you just said is all three are tied together then, because there's the one up, one down, there's the being petty part, and then there's a what do I need to do to set a good example for my kids as I move forward and
Right.
and help them learn what healthy relationships can look like. And what you're saying is, okay, I'm feeling this need, and the way that you said it is already telling me that you know the energy that I'm getting from you, at least in the description, is that you're saying this from a pretty grounded place. That I realize I need a little bit of space and time to really get my feet planted here. I've got all this information now that is, I don't even know how to parse out making my decisions. And in the meantime, because I'm needing some space and time, I'm being told that I'm being like controlling and petty way withholding my physical intimacy.
Yeah.
Okay. And the answer to that question is going to be a big, it depends. You know, if the decisions that you're making are coming from a place of your own values, coming from a place of like managing for your own health and your own well-being, and managing from a place of seeing yourself and your partner as equals, then what you're doing is probably going to be just fine. If it's honestly coming from a place of control, coercion, manipulation, revenge, resentment, then those things probably are a little petty, or they could be.
Right.
And so we want to try to figure out like how do you cultivate your heart in a way where you can then stay firm in whatever decisions you make, because you're coming to it from a place of peace and authenticity.
Right.
Marianne, help me. This goes along with what Tyler was doing of trying to flush out: are you being petty or not? But what? Like, let's help me understand what that means. Like, what does it mean to be petty?
It means it's not, my decisions aren't coming from a healthy place. It's more resentment. It's revenge.
Okay.
Not authentic. It's more, more, I guess, ill-intentioned.
Do you have resentment and some maybe anger or frustration? Or
I have some frustration, more so with, I think, I do have some anger more at the last event, just because I just found it out, and I feel like I'm still processing. It still feels fairly new to me. That one feels very, very. That's the worst one right now.
Of course.
The others just make me sad than anything. It's just like, it just feels like it's too bad. It's hurtful, but I understand that this is something that started before he even met me. This is decades and decades of behavior that he needs to work on and deal with. So I kind of look at it from that perspective too. Like it affects me, but it's not about me. So those other events don't trigger me, don't upset me, other than with the physical intimacy. That's the only kind of place I feel like it comes into play.
Okay.
Where I feel, yeah.
Oh, I heard you say, with this recent one, you're feeling it's really raw and there's some anger, but in the past you look back and there's sadness. The question I have for you is you feeling sadness, or even if it's anger, is that petty? Would you call those feelings petty? Like, shouldn't you, I say this in jest, but shouldn't you just get over that and smile and forgive and love?
Well, it is sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Especially like I said, from our last thing, like, he's awesome. He's just, he's I could not ask in a lot of ways for a more perfect mate. But I can't share him like this, and I can't keep having my life blown up like this. So I think it's sad that the two of us, because we can get together, we can hang out, we can do things, we can have fun like all day long. but there's no depth, there's no intimacy, there's no like, so it makes me sad. Yeah, it makes me sad that those things are happening in our marriage.
Is that sadness like not based in reality? Is that sadness not valid?
It is based in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your feelings of these emotions that you've had and are having and are still in you, they're not bad. They're not in you because you're petty. They're in you because they're protecting you and they're important. And before we go to, hey, Marianne, just get over it. Like, get over it and love him. We need to stop for a minute, and you need to give yourself some permission to feel the feels and to love yourself in those feelings. And they're like the things that you're feeling are stepping up for you. And that's where we need to start.
Brannon,
So, go ahead, Tyler.
I just want to ask you, go back about 60 seconds ago when she was saying what she just said. Not just the words that she spoke, but the emotion that she was sharing and showing. What did you get from her, Brannon? Like, what did you feel from her?
It's interesting. Like, I feel like you really love him. And I feel like you want to be close to him, like with all your heart. And you just like wish that these things weren't in the way. Right. Mm-hmm. And so there's this grappling with reality. There's this grief that you're in around it. That's what I felt from you, Marianne.
I did too, Brannon. I think the reason I wanted to point this out is because so many of our listeners are going to relate to this. And you just gave, in your response to Brannon, you just gave a big answer to your own question. And it was the way of being, where you were able to be in a spot where you're like, I love him. He's a good man in so many different ways. And in good conscience, I can't continue with things as they are. And that's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And you could feel it. There was a feeling of, we're equals as human beings. He's lovable and so am I. I can acknowledge that he's got weaknesses that go beyond our relationship, that were there before we even got together. And I can't do this. I'm not going to do it the way that we're going to keep doing it. To me, you just answered your own question. And you're not being petty. You're in a state of grief. You're in a state of trying to fight for your values. And at least in this very moment, your heart's at peace with not being one up and one down. You're being convicted into a decision that you don't even really want to make.
I think there's another way to look at it, and it's really tricky, Marianne, is, if we look at this as he's struggling with a mental illness, he's struggling with, and I know like when it's betrayal and things like that, it's like, really, like we're going to blame it on a mental illness. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if we look at the compulsive behavior over the years and the consistent behaviors and the attachment disorder that he has, there is something broken here.
Right.
There's something broken, right? And you think if like I was married to a partner who couldn't walk, it would be sad that I couldn't go run in the park with her, that I couldn't go, like that would be hard for me, right? And that would be an adjustment for me. Now, when it's a mental illness, we look at this and we say, dang it, like, why are you this way? Knock it off. Like, come on. Like, now here's the thing. Well, I got to finish this whole thought because I believe in recovery. I believe that he can go rehab. But the rehabilitation process is really painful. And we talked about this with him of like, dude, like I would guess, Marianne, that, whether he got like completely all better from this or not, if he just had some initiative on his own and some courage to step into some of the hardest things, that would like change everything for you, right? We don't need him to be perfect,
right.
But just that he has a desire to work on it. Now, there's an issue. it's clear there's an issue with him, right? So what do you think about that, Marianne?
I mean, that makes sense, and that is exactly how I feel. He has, like, after the episode that he was on, he did make an appointment to see a therapist. So I'm cautiously optimistic. There's definitely the part of me, like, we kind of started talking, or I started talking more fervently about this about 2.5 years ago. It would have been great if it could have happened a little earlier. But I mean, I am thankful and I'm hopeful that continues.
If he listens to this, I just want to say to him, the side note here, go sign up for Tyler's group. Work with your therapist, but get your butt in Tyler's group. Like, go through that process, because it will take you through a deeper change inside of you. And it's scary and it's hard and it's amazing. So I would just tell him, hey, push yourself even a little further. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think this kind of ties in a little bit to your other question about, like, sexual intimacy and engaging there, and that they're all tied together here, right? So there might be differences in, like, the way you guys interact with each other, personal bubbles. He likes intimacy physically more than you do. Maybe that's maybe a base level thing in any relationship, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
Like, what we're talking about here is he's saying, this is so weird. He's saying, you're being withholding, or you're being petty, or you're this, or you're that. So you better hurry and come and engage right after you just found out about all my betrayals. Better hurry and make me feel better by being physical with me. And just by nature of showing up that way, it's going to be less attractive to you to even want to engage in that.
Yeah. Because
that's a kind of consuming sort of, almost like, it's like it almost feels weak. And so now if you go, it feels like you're betraying your own values, because you're not, like, stepping into the relationship to kind of share an experience. You're stepping in the relationship to manage his feelings for him.
Right. Yeah.
And then that's going to be that's for anybody in a situation like that, they're going to be less attracted to wanting to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Marianne, are you obligated to give him physical touch? Or is it your duty as his wife?
I feel like I should.
Okay. That's my least favorite word you just said.
I want to do that. I want to be able to, like, hold hands and snuggle and cuddle, and if it leads to anything, whatever. But I would love to have that kind of physical affection.
So does that mean you force yourself to get there? Like this is on you. You should push through. And
I feel like that's the expectation.
Right. But you can see where I'm getting here, right?
Yeah.
What am I trying to get at here?
That it's not I'm not obligated to give this to him.
That obligation, especially for a woman, that obligation will make you at times, do it, but overall destroy the desire to do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so it's this catch-22 where you need to know that you're not forced to do it. You need to know that there's no pressure, that there's no duty, there's no obligation whatsoever, and that it naturally, I was going to use should, it naturally can start to happen. Right?
Yeah.
But the key is naturally. Now, how does it naturally start to happen? We don't start with Marianne betraying her own feelings that are protecting her. We don't start with that. We start with something very different. And what it is you first check in with your feelings, see where those are all coming from and why. Now, when you list off all the things that have gone on in your relationship, and even recently, there's good reason why you want an arm's length with him right now. There's good reason. So let's trust your intuition and listen to that. Okay. So you check it now. Now, if he was in full blown recovery and he was just like safe as can be, trustworthy man, and you're still holding back, then we got to look at, okay, what kind of work does Marianne need to do to be able to step into some vulnerability with a man who's safe and trustworthy? But that's not the case. That's not what's happening right now.
A different way of saying that, Brannon, is to, in those moments, to check the facts of the situation. And if the facts of the situation are what you're describing to us, then your distance is appropriate because the facts would warrant the distance. If the facts come back around and it's like, man, he's in full recovery, he's being humble, he's showing up with empathy, I've catch him being honest in other places, and I'm just really, really scared. Okay, now I get to go into myself and understand, what do those fears need in order for me to then choose to start leaning in? And that will still be an exercise and a little bit scary, but I can do it because the conditions to do so would warrant that response.
So let's talk about those conditions, because I think that's really important for, like, because you want to kind of check yourself and be like, okay, is this me, or is it really actually safe to engage with him or not? And you can actually see it, you can define it, but more than anything, you can feel it when the conditions are safe. But Tyler and I will give you some things that you can actually sit and watch and look for. And I'll tell you this right now, Marianne, talking to him a few weeks ago, he's not creating those conditions. And he is a good guy, but he's not creating those conditions for you. And just because he talked to us, we don't flip a switch and in a day, all of a sudden, you're ready to be vulnerable. The recovery's there. It doesn't happen. It's a process that takes place over time. But these are some of the things that we look for. One is he shifts from being a person who is in self-preservation and like trying to hide or manipulate situations to not be seen, to not get in trouble, into a person who is courageous enough and strong enough to face reality as it is and to be rigorously honest. Just own it, accountable, own it, know that he's not perfect, gonna make mistakes, but he's rigorously honest despite the consequences. That has to start to happen. Now think about it. Like, how are you going to have trust without honesty?
Right. It's not happening.
Not happening.
Not happening.
And he's been lying to you quite a bit recently, right?
Yeah.
So without honesty, there's no trust. Without trust, there's no desire for Marianne to go hug and love him, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to start with that. Now, for him, it's like, oh yeah, be honest. And this is what I mean. He needs to go to Tyler's group because he needs to deal with his deepest, darkest demons that are pushing him to hide, to be dishonest. It's not just all of a sudden, it comes easy.
Right.
But if he deals with those things, then it's like, okay, like I'm strong enough that I can face what is, and I can be an authentic human being and create that trust. So that's one condition. You're kind of watching, like, how much does he manipulate? How much does he shut down? How much does he omit? I'm just kind of paying attention. Now, you're probably already doing that naturally, Marianne. Tyler, do you want to give another one?
Yeah, second one is, and this ties into the honesty, but it's broader than just the honesty, is the word is proactive. There's a proactive kind of an honesty, and then there's a beat it out of you kind of an honesty, and you want proactive honesty, which is, I'm taking the initiative to take ownership for my own life, including my honesty, and the proactive moves into effort. I need to go and start saying, I'm going to look myself in the mirror and start making some changes about the way I'm showing up in my life. And I'm going to do that whether you tell me to or not. And if you see somebody being proactive, then that's going to, over time, that's going to contribute some trust into the bucket to then want to say, okay, maybe I could lean in a little bit more.
Yep. Think about it, like if he were a man that would work his recovery, even if you divorced him tomorrow, you'd be much less likely to want to divorce him, right?
No, that wouldn't happen.
He's on his own 2 feet, and he's like
Yeah.
self-reflecting, and he's working his recovery, and self-determination is there inside of that man, and he's on fire in his recovery. That's attractive,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
But when it's, you got to crack the whip, you got to beg him. Is he actually going to step into? And this is what we talked about with him last time. So that proactivity Tyler's talking about is really important. Here's another one for you, and this one comes over time, and it starts to naturally happen. But at first, it's really hard, and you don't see it very much. He's patient and empathetic with your pain. And so this is where the physical touch thing comes into play, and it undermines this one in your relationship, because if he comes demanding it or expecting it or pouting because he's not getting it, what he's saying to you is, I'm not connected to your discomfort here. I'm not connected to your pain, and I want what I want. Versus, you know what? I recently betrayed you, and it's absolutely okay if you don't want to touch me. Truly. I want to touch you, sure, because that's where I'm at. But I'm not going to pressure you, force you, try to. But I'd love to listen about how hard it is for you to want to be close to me right now. I can hold that space. That is very helpful, right? Can you see why that would be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's another one.
Yeah, I just ask you, Marianne, if you got 2 different responses, the first one being what's likely happening, which is, well, it's a woman's duty, and you should do this, and this is what my love language is, and you need to speak this, even though I just lied to you last week. That's how we're going to hold our marriage together. Versus, you know what, Marianne, I've been thinking about this, and I realize that a lot through my own blindness and ignorance, I have caused you a ton of pain. I've put a lot of pressure on you, and from today forward, there is never an expectation for physical intimacy or sex. I only want to engage in that when it's right for you and for me together, and I don't ever want you to feel that pressure again. Which one of those opens you up more?
2.
Yeah, it's right. It's instant. It's a no-brainer for you.
Yeah, right.
You're oh, okay. You might even in that moment be I'm actually feeling pretty good right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, from his side of things, he might be thinking, "Gall, if I actually did that and I actually meant that, then it would never happen." I'd feel like, "Gall, if I'm really saying I'm okay with no is always the right answer, or it can be then she would never initiate, and I would walk these planes alone."
And he thinks he would die.
Yeah,
but we've had those discussions. Those exact discussions.
But here's the attractive part to a woman is when he legitimately can say no, I really am okay. I'm okay. That's where it becomes attractive. That's where it's whoa, I can be vulnerable with you. And so it's a risk. It feels like this, stepping into the cave for him a little bit, to surrender over forcing physical intimacy with you, which he has no right to do anyways. So
could I add one more to what we were talking about with being able to lean in and knowing what conditions are to lean in? It's a shift in energy. It's there's a famous quote, I think it's JFK that said it, that said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." The same is true in relationship here. When there's been a betrayal and a breach, when you start to feel the energy of your partner being for their beloved one, being for the relationship, rather than what can I extract from you, that shifts the chain, that shifts the energy in the relationship, and there's some trust there that allows it to be easier to lean in.
Yeah.
And so that energy can only shift if the partner will go do their work on their shame resiliency, because shame is the thing that's keeping them in self-preservation, which is an extractive kind of a way in a relationship. So the deeper work is to be working on their shame resiliency so they can show up and say, "How's your day been? I want to know everything about your day, and I want to know what your heart's doing right now. And, rather than, I need you to tell me I'm good enough today. And you feel that energy. It's different. Right. So what do you think about all of this, Marianne?
This is all very, very helpful. I feel lighter already, honestly. I appreciate it. It's been great. Yeah.
And Marianne, you're not crazy. You're not, you got to get off your own back a little bit.
Yeah.
And believe me, I would tell you if you needed to like stop being so petty. And we talked to plenty of partners that hold grudges for a long time and are unwilling to be vulnerable, but are also unwilling to leave the relationship. And so they just get stuck there forever. But that's not you right now. No. It really isn't. But there is one more before we move on. That's like, I think it's kind of like all the things we've talked about are awesome, but without this one component, none of them work. And that is consistency.
Time.
Yeah. Over time. So, he's not, he's not perfect, but like you watch the process of him consistently self-reflecting, him consistently trying to figure out how to empathize, him consistently trying to be an honest man. And when he messes up and he's not honest or he sucks at empathy, he comes back again and he figures out why he wasn't, and he looks deep within himself. And over that time period, and this is why, like you say, it was like a month ago that this betrayal came out, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of impossible for you to trust him right now, just because we need time, we need process, we need growth to happen. And he's starting where he's starting, but you just want to watch that over time. So I think for both you and him to like understand that and shift your perspective on it, and then you get to watch each other go through this process together is a really good thing. Versus like, I just want it fixed right now in our relationship. So,
Marianne, are we speaking to the questions you asked today?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Good. Is there anything else on your heart or mind right now that we haven't spoken to yet?
Probably just kind of one thing that came to mind. So the therapist that he is seeing, is not like, he's just like a marriage and family counselor. In fact, it's the counselor that we have seen before as a couple times in the past. He doesn't necessarily deal with addiction or anything. I mean, he has experience in it. But one of the things that I had asked my husband for in the past was like a full disclosure, at least kind of come clean and be honest about some things. And I kind of gotten to the point that I'm okay without it if we aren't going to ever kind of reconcile. Like, I'm not going to push that, but if we're going to work toward reconciling and being together, that's something that I would like, but I don't know how to do that with somebody who doesn't necessarily, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. If his therapist doesn't necessarily do that.
Tyler, you have thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think I actually like where you're at, saying I don't need to do that unless we're actually serious about trying to figure out if we can work. And I actually think it would be wise for you guys to probably do some kind of a disclosure process. And if that therapist isn't trained in that, then you guys could find a different therapist that would help with that specific process. For sure. And you could do that. And you could do that through Brannon and I. We could connect you. Brannon's got some good therapists that know exactly how to do a good disclosure. So you guys could do that in the context of marriage, even though it's really the disclosure process, but while you both do your own individual work.
Yeah.
Something else that's just kind of pressing on my heart right now for you, Marianne, is you've probably heard it on like the ads before each episode and things, but Brannon and I have created something called the Healing Journey, and we have a platform called reclaimyourheart.org. And there's different tiers to it, but there's a tier where you can buy the actual healing journey course and work it with a group and a therapist. And man, it's just screaming out at me that you and your partner are like your prime candidates for what we've developed over there. So that's something else that I would just recommend you maybe consider. And if he's listening, that he might consider that he could do his individual therapy with that therapist, but then he would also get like the recovery process through the healing journey if he were to do something like that. So you want to add anything, Brannon?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that and just like, Marianne, it's a problem sometimes to go. I say this hesitantly because I love marriage therapists. They're like courageous to do the work they do. It's hard work. And I work with a lot of people that specialize in couples work and things like that. But when the issue, and I might sound crazy here, but when the issue is not the relationship, and you go to a couples therapist and there's a lot of focus on the pain points in the relationship, you don't address the issue. And the relationship, we're seeing the pain points, we're seeing the symptoms, but that's not the problem. And so when you go to a couples therapist, a lot of times they're looking through a lens of attachment, they're looking through a lens of emotionally focused couples therapy, all good stuff. But when they immediately try to go in that door, but a lot of the things that Tyler and I talked about today aren't happening, then it's like, then you feel, the partner oftentimes feels more guilt of like, well, why shouldn't I be closer? Why shouldn't I love them more? Why shouldn't I? And so it's really important to go to someone who does understand addiction and someone who does understand betrayal, and go through programs like Tyler just talked about, like our healing journey program. I would, you're saying I need a disclosure. I can totally see why you want a disclosure. And if you're saying that, the disclosure is for the partner. It's for you. It's not for the person giving it.
And it's to help with discernment of choice.
You need to know what you need to know what you need to heal from. Like you don't even know everything. So, but you can't just go to any therapist because they can mess up that disclosure process. You want to go to someone who's been trained and knows how to do it well, and it will. If it goes well, it'll be really painful and really uncomfortable, but it'll be a good step toward healing for you. And so, yeah, I wouldn't like try to just force a disclosure with some therapist that's like, right. So, and like Tyler said, if you want a therapist who's trained to do disclosures, me and Tyler, we can hook you up with one. No problem. So any other questions, Marianne?
No, I mean, this is extremely helpful. I feel much more confident kind of in what my next steps are, and of really kind of leaning into taking the next step and really kind of unpacking, just honestly unpacking the grief. I honestly, as you guys were talking, like, I don't think I really had spent the time to really do that.
And give yourself permission to do that. And it's going to take more than, hey, I've been trustworthy for 3 weeks, we should get back together and do everything we used to. It's like, no, this is going to be a process. You're going to have waves, and those waves are okay. You're going to have waves of hating him, and that's okay too. Yeah. Like, you just don't want to get stuck there.
Okay.
Marianne, if I were you, I would really get to know that inner voice inside of you, that part of you that second guesses whether or not you're doing things right. Second guesses like, should you do this or should you do that? And just what I mean by get to know it is just see it like, oh, like when you get off this call today and you're talking to him tonight or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I felt empowered on that call and I felt like there was direction, but like now I don't know. And am I the problem? And I just be like, oh, hey, there you are. Yeah, I see ya. Okay. Like I know you're going to come up. I'm going to like love you and put you aside here.
You'll feel a different energy. And I think you've got to actually, what you've got now is go back every time you start to hear and feel that voice, recognize it, point it out, and then go back to minute 11 of this episode and feel what yourself actually feels like.
Yeah.
Because yourself showed up in minute 11, 12-ish.
Yeah.
And remember those two different feelings.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Marianne, you're awesome. Really appreciate you coming on. You've done so much work, and we just appreciate people like you that are willing to look within and to keep fighting the fight as long as it is and difficult as it is. So keep going forward. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. And to our listeners, thank you for being here with us too. Hopefully this is helpful. And until next time,